Hey, welcome to Indigenous Wellness Training Society's ongoing sessions for featuring Ray Thunderchild from Thunderchild First Nation. It's September 20th, and we have Mr. Thunderchild here today to continue on with his journey of hope, or whatever you want to call it. His journey. I just got lost in the finish line. Yeah, anyways, welcome, Ray.
Hey, welcome. You know what? Last week I touched up on a lot of these things back into how my life has succeeded to where it is before, or where it is now. You know, the one thing about the way I grew up was my family were all powwow singers. All my dad, my grandpa, my uncles, everybody was a singer in my family. So when we were born singers. And I was a little boy when I was 5 years old, and my grandpa decided he wanted to show me off. So he bought me in a cabin no bigger than this room in here, a log cabin. Oh, about 4 sets of elders walked in, a man and his wife, these old men and old ladies walked in. And then they all sat down there. My grandma fed them. Of course, in my grandmother's house back then, we walk in, you eat first, and then you visit. That's how the old traditions were. And that's how my grandmother was. And, you know, she fed all these people first, and then there was an area where they could sit down and, you know, have tea. The men would go there, sit there and have tea. The women would sit on one side. So then all the men that, you know, that sat there like that, and my grandpa told them that I brought my grandson here to show you guys something, he said. So I'm very proud of this young man, he said. But he said out all in Cree. I said, this is my grandson that knows how to sing. So he gave me his drum. I stood there, little 5-year-old boy, looking at these elders, like, I mean, I felt really good. I know I felt really good, but I didn't feel shy or anything. And I started singing this song. And, you know, when I finished singing that song, all the elders were sitting there like that, and they were saying, wow, good little voice. Of course, I used to sing in a church choir, too. I was a choir boy. That's where I had this good voice that came in from. And my grandmother used to tell me that, you know, I'm going to be the singer of the family because I had a naturally loud voice. You could hear me a mile away when I cried when I was a little boy. And you know, my grandmother used to say that, yeah, you never have to worry about where that boy is. You can hear him. So, yeah, it was quite a childhood like that to grow up with, you know, around singers. When I go to powwows, my whole family would be around. They would sit around the drum, and we used to sit behind the drum to listen to my dad singing. I mean, my dad was my hero that time because he had a really strong, loud voice, which I somehow wanted to inherit that voice, and years later I did. So, you know, after that, when we were growing up, there was a bunch of us boys that used to go sit away out in the bush with my mom's old tub. We had an old tub that was full of holes. That was our drum. You wouldn't believe the sticks and twigs we used for sticks, and the little, you know, whatever we used to sit down sometimes and kneel at the tub, and we would sing out there. All the boys. One day we got caught. And my grandpa says, oh, boys can sing. It's good to know. So he brought us back home, sat us down, and he looked at all of us. So he said, who's your leader here? Your leader? He said, yeah, your lead singer. Who's your song maker? Who's your leader? They all pointed at me. And I, you know, for some reason or other, I just felt like I got in trouble. But I think it was something my grandpa was expecting, because with all the boys always around singing, but he never knew that we could all sing. But when he brought us to the drum, I showed the boys. I said, my dad said, well, show me one of your songs. And so I was like maybe 12, 13. And I showed him my song, and all the boys knew my songs. My grandpa, all my uncles didn't. I showed them my song, and they really, really liked it, so we sang it. From that day forward, the Thunderchild singers were reborn again with a whole new group. This time it's just all Thunderchild family. My grandpa, my dad, my uncles, my two brothers, my cousins, all of them, we came to the drum. And I can remember in 1973, we were down in Bismarck, North Dakota. We were the most talked about group because we were a family, all family. No outsider sat in this drum. We were all Thunderchilds, 14 of us Thunderchilds in that drum. Something to be very proud of, which I was anyways. And as we traveled like that, it became routine for all of us. I already had a vehicle myself. I had a car with 4 doors with a roof rack on top. And the plan always was we had a car and a truck to travel the night before. To travel the night before to the powwow where we're all going to go. Sometimes we're gone Thursday morning. We get there Thursday night. We'd set up the whole camp, all the boys. There's actually 8 of us that go ahead, 9 of us actually. 6 in my car, 3 in the truck. Because, with the truck, we carried all the camp gear, tents, stoves, beds, everything. It had a canopy on it, and that's how we traveled. The first load. The second load came the next day. 2 vehicles came the next day with the rest of the singers. And then, when we were there, sometimes some powwows, they have a warm-up night on a Thursday night. Well, we already had 9 already, so we used to go set up and warm up at Thunderchild. And when we used to sit down there, all the elderly people would come and ask, where's old Ed? He said, well, he's on his way. Tomorrow he'll be here. We just come ahead to set up the camp and warm up the drum. So they all understood, and all these elderly people that used to sing with us, that used to sit with us, were all acknowledging the fact that, my grandpa did a wonderful job teaching us all boys the art of singing powwow. And, the best part about all of this, growing up in that way, today I'm 65, and the one thing is to knock on wood when I say this, that's steel. Okay, right here. Knock on wood when I say this, 65, never been incarcerated in my life. Never been. I've managed to stay away from places like that. I guess I was just too busy concentrating on this, being the leader of a drum group, being the person that later on in this lifetime right now that, I've earned that spot of leadership as a singer, though. And a lot of it, alcohol wasn't so much a big factor for all of us because we were too busy drinking. I was singing, sorry. We were too busy singing all the time. And my grandmother, all the women used to look after us. They would take care of the camp. Once we set it up, they would take care of the camp from there. Cook, clean. And we used to have great big dinners, because we had a bus that we traveled in. A great big 72-passenger school bus. But I had my car and we had that truck. We had to have them, because a day ahead. And the other crew that came behind us were dancers and also people who were supporters, I guess, the biggest supporters that we ever had in the way of life that we had. So in many ways, our family were also very how do you say, a very prominent powwow family that everybody recognized everywhere they went, like everywhere we went, because that we had a lot of. I guess we bring a lot to the powwow that we went to, and it was just really nice to see a lot of these young people nowadays taking over to what it is that, you know, doing what we did. And then what we did was, like, you know, we laid that foundation for a lot of ourselves also to be who we are, where we are today. As part of growing up, you know, with all my cousins, my brothers, we always looked after each other, cared for each other's wellness. Like, you know, somebody got sick, we'd go and help them out. And but it wasn't until our singers started discovering something that really disrupted our family. Well, I shouldn't say disrupted. I think it was maybe did some did something additional to our families where we started multiplying. We discovered women. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, I guess we were handsome young men singing at a drum that caught a lot of women's eyes, you know. And all of a sudden, pretty soon, we started, you know, my brothers, my cousins started having kids. That's when the ride was slow, you know. They had to stay home, provide for their kids now. I kind of waited a lot, you know, a few years in life before I had kids. I saw what they went through. Oh no, you know, there was a time when they tried to make me babysit so they can go sing. That was a good joke. That's what I told them. Yeah. But it was like, you know, it was a good learning for the whole family, for all the boys that had wives, that had children, that had, you know, that tried to create a life for themselves, and, you know, trying to make a good life. And with that good life, you know, provided more dancers for our family. Because young ones were always taught that way. You had to learn how to dance. You had to learn to participate. It's like we were all grown up, working in a big garden. If you don't work, you don't eat. Here, traveling to powwows, if you don't dance, you don't come along. Boy, what a choice, eh? But it was a really interesting, you know, like the way my grandmother was like 4'11". She was really small. And yet she controlled the whole family dynamics. And she didn't have to say anything. All she did was sometimes look at the situation right away. People knew what she was thinking. In the kitchen, when my grandma looked at the dishes, the women saw that. Man, they jumped up so fast. They were doing the dishes in no time. It was clean in no time. And we were all the men, when my grandma looks at the wood box and it's empty, oh, it's time for you to go to work. So we all had our duties as children growing up there. And the one who was very instrumental in looking after our hair was my grandmother. She looked after all the boys' hair, as my mother and my grandmother were very, very, very good at looking after our hair. Like once, back then, I guess it was twice, 3 times a week, she would wash her hair. And this green tea, the tea that bush tea, you find in the bush like that, and she would go harvest for that in the fall time and save a whole bunch of it. And during the winter times, she would boil that and wash her hair with it. Now, and the way she braided her hair was really tight. It's like you have a facelift. I used to teach everybody. Say, yeah, your face is getting so loose after Grandma's braiding. Yeah. Grandma's braids were so tight. But you know what? Our hair was long, thick, and beautiful. My hair went past below my knees. That's how long my hair was. Tall, skinny kid with long, beautiful hair that I think every woman fell in love with. The hair, not me. So, yeah, and then, when we go to powwows like that, oh, a lot of these girls used to say, wow, you got nice hair. Well, I'm good looking too, She just laughs. But it was like, and there was a big part of that as we were singing in a drum group. We couldn't bring women anywhere near my drum. I was a drum keeper. By the time I was 12, I was handed down the duties of the drum keeper, only because I had the knowledge of the song and the drums. When my granduncle passed it over to me, I took it and I said, thank you. I will do this from this day forward. Till I was 30 years old, my grandpa went like that. That was it, 1978 was the last time my Thunderchild singers were heard of. By this time, alcohol had already killed our drum group. Because my dad, my uncles, all used to get drunk when they go to powwows. But there was always us boys. There were still 9 of us boys, 10 of us boys, with my grandfather. My grandfather didn't like my dad and them all drinking. So and I used to tell him, he said, so what, we got the boys, we can still sing. I guess he was always scared that we might embarrass him, but you know what? We made him proud when we went up there because we could sing without the adults. I think we were pretty well the first family group that came out like that with just the whole family, young people, with our grandfather. It was back then, way back then in the 60s, 70s, when it was very, very rare to see a young man at a drum. It was always men, elders. They were the only ones that ever sang at that drum. You see, one skinny little kid sitting beside a bunch of chubby old men, that was me. That was me. I always pushed my way in there, getting a chance to sing. Finally, when we had our own drum group, I earned my spot. My whole family was then started traveling. But still, alcohol killed our drum group. We get invited. When we get invited, these people that ran that powwow would invite the adults over for dinner, but you know what that comes with? Dinner and a drink, right? next all the young boys, we used to stay behind, look after the camp because we got to break it down in the morning. We were never allowed to drink. If you were going to drink, that's when we were asked to leave the drum. And nobody wanted to leave the drum because this is the place to catch girls. That's what we used to say. Yeah, you should have seen that one come talk to me yesterday, man. Oh, yeah, Pocahontas look-alike. And it was always a competition about who's had the beautiful girl coming to talk to him. But, you know, the girls couldn't get too close to the drum because we were never allowed to bring them close to the drum. But, you know, it went like that until 1978, and the whole thing went crashing down. From there on, I traveled with another drum group, and another drum group, and another drum group. It was from there on that I knew I had to do something to keep our drum group alive, but I couldn't do it by that time because all my cousins, my brothers, were all shacked up now. They'd already given up on powwows. It wasn't until later on in life that they started dancing. My brothers, my cousins too. I think I was the only one in that whole family that kept singing. And today I'm the only one that sings. I created my drum group in 1991 when I came here to Vancouver. I rose that name up again, Thunderchild. And he became a very popular name in the powwow world here. I became a teacher when I also moved here, teaching whoever wanted to learn the way I was taught. However, teaching the way I was taught is probably called assault, because I used to get beaten if I made a mistake. I would never do that to my singers. It was a brutal world when you had to learn how to sing, especially when you're a drum keeper. It was a brutal world to live as a singer back then. You had to learn from your mistakes. You had to learn from what they taught you. Your teachers. I had 8 teachers altogether. They're all gone now. But not all of them beat me. They all showed me the proper way of how to look after your singers. And you know what? I became really good at that also, with the help of my singers in the city here. My brother was one of them. He lived in Everett, Washington. He moved to BC to come and sing with me. He walked away from all that alcohol and drugs in Edmonton. When he came here, he stopped everything. He says he wanted to learn how to sing. So I took him under my wing for 23 years, taught him everything I could. All my cousins that lived in town here, taught them everything I could. The people that came forth that wanted to learn how to sing with us, taught them what I could. You know, there was this thing at the Friendship Center they used to call the family night, culture night. And I used to go there all the time when I first got here and I heard about it. Because I wanted to keep singing. I wanted to get my voice training again. 30 years ago, I used to see these guys standing there, bring their little boys to the drum. Nowadays, you see those little boys bringing their little boys to the drum now. It's like the generation continues. And I'm glad that I could be a part of that world for these little boys that are learning how to sing. They become really good singers. And I'm always honored to say I had a big part of all of this. Because I was there when they started. I was there when they brought their own first drumstick, when their voice broke out. I was always helping them out the way they helped me out. And in this city, I never leave home without my hand drum. My late grandmother used to tell me, take that hand drum with you. It'll always look after you. I used to tease her, yeah, probably look good there at the pawn shop. No, I'm just kidding. No, I would never do that. I said, and one more thing my grandpa used to tell me too. If you're going to use something like that, never buy a drum. Make your own. And that's what I've been doing all my life. I've always made my own drums. Of course, they gotta have that sound I want. I can't just take any drum I can't sing with just any drum. There's a certain sound that the drum has to have when I sing with it. And a lot of round dances that happen back home. I don't know if you guys are aware what round dances are. But there's a lot of round dances when they come out. There's a birthday round dance. There's also a naming round dance, or somebody getting married, or sometimes just honoring. What my sisters, they used to have one every New Year's Day, a round dance every year. My late uncle used to do that. But they just did that only because it's a new year. Bring in the new year in a good way. And my late uncle was always the one that always did that. Not on New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. My family took over. All my sisters, what they were taught by my uncle, how to run one. Later on in years, I became the master of ceremonies for these round dances. Even there, when I went home, a lot of, would just do one round dance, all of a sudden I get called up for all these other ones too. Sometimes, there's a period in December and into January, Saskatchewan, as soon as Christmas holidays begin, December 20th, every night there is a round dance somewhere in the reserve, it's different reserve. Sometimes there's 2 or 3 of them that go on at the same time, but in different areas. It was hard for me to decide who I wanted to MC for, because it's not about the money. It's all about having fun with these people. And I guess it's where they feed you better. That's what I always used to say. Yeah, this reserve, why they go to this reserve over there? Because they slice their bologna really thick. The other guys over there, I will see through your bologna. Yeah, so that's the kind of life I lived. In the powwow world, round dance world, and this new kind of life that's come into me the last 27 years is this acting world. I became an actor, became very successful. I used my singing to get into this acting world. Once again, I had to use my talents in some way. Bring in my talent as to how I can benefit. And look where I am today. I feel I've done, a successful thing. Like in my life, I've created a lot of positive things along my trail to where I am today. Lloydminster, Alberta, Saskatchewan. I helped organize a housing organization there. So Native people can have better housing instead of having to have crumbly landlords. We did a big thing there. Edmonton, Alberta, I did a lot of other work there too. Then I left here. And ever since I've been into Vancouver here, it's all about the singing thing now. I've become, like I said, I like to keep myself busy. I don't like to sit around and do nothing and get big. But that's just the way it is right now for me. I can't. Yeah. Do you have any questions? Yeah, I get like that too once in a while. A little block.
Oh, okay. There we go. With all your stuff that's going on, what's how have you been able to get some work in the business lately of acting?
Yeah, there was one that we just finished here not too long ago. It's already aired. It's called Journey of the Heart. And that's from the Hallmark. The channel?
Yeah.
And that's where Harlequin romances movies come from, right? And there was a lady from Hallmark that interviewed us. It's on Facebook and it's on Instagram. And both me and Paul Grenier was and the other actor. And she told us that one of the greatest things that I'm very happy to hear myself is this is the first time Hallmark has featured Indigenous actors in that that area of because there's never really been any Indigenous actors on there. I feel very honored to be one of them. I guess where the notoriety, the real widespread recognition with that, because a lot of people already know me anyways, right? In the powwow world. But there was a TV show called Blackstone. When that came out, I was on it for 5 seasons. It became very popular in Canada. I think at one time we won 16 awards for the best show, best TV drama. And I played the chief's father on there. The first year I was alive. And the last 4 seasons, I was a ghost. Go figure, eh?
Just about wrote you out there, but not quite, or?
I like that music. The horror suspense movie, yeah. But it was such a good thing, even a lot of things that I've done that done in this city here. One of the other accomplishment I have. Remember the Olympics, 2010 Olympics, when all the athletes came in, they had that entourage of music, right? And there was 12 composers that were chosen to make that music. I was one of them. They chose my song to come in. I sang it really like when that country, Georgia, came in. Just when France was just coming out, Georgia came in, my song came in the air. You could hear my song all over the arena. I wasn't there, but I was watching it on TV, and me and my wife were watching it. And I just looked, wow. 18 countries are listening to my song right now.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I was very, I was just showing 2 guys how to my song. That's all I was doing. I didn't realize they liked it. I wasn't there for an audition. I was there to go help another person make some music. But while we were waiting, these guys were sitting there with their hand drums. I figured I'd go in there and said, "Hey man, you got any new ones?" They said, "Yeah, I just finished one." He said, and I just jam it, man. Just show me. He said. So I showed him. I said, and I'd close the doors in the studio there, because most of those rooms are soundproof, right? But the engineer, I guess, had that thing still on. Then he see me hitting he just decided to record it. And everybody inside that studio was listening when I started singing it. Full volume, I told him. When we started singing like that, when we finished, I could hear the people clapping in the background. I looked behind through the glass. Everybody gave us a standing ovation. Brian Adams got on the thing and said, "Hey, Ray." Well, he called me Bigfoot. Yeah, he said, "Hey, Bigfoot, whose song is that?" He said, "I thought, that's my song. I just finished composing." He said, "I love it." He says, "I love it." He said, "Do you have a name for the song?" Here's the funny side. "Yeah, hang on one sec. It's in my Samsung." Samsung. Yeah, that's what it's called. Samsung. They just gave it a name right there. Hey, I'll go with it.
Right on.
I didn't really have a name for the song. It was just a song that I composed, a really simple song. But sometimes the simple things in life could really mean a lot to a lot of people, right? And this was something that they really. Then the choreographer Dave Pierce of that, the Olympics, looked at me and said, "I want that song too." Brian Adams came up there and he gave me $1,250. I'm not buying this. I want to use this. Me and Nelly Furtado, when we sing, I want this in the background, he says. "You can use it." I shook his hand, he gave me the money. Dave Pierce looked at me, "Come over to my office tomorrow morning. I'll give you the same amount." I said, we'll use that song. Yeah, I said, I walked out. I didn't come to audition, but I got the part, right? And these guys just looked at me and said, "Way to go," It was really nice, though. It was really, really a good surprise for me that, when this happened. I mean, you don't get that happen to you so often, right?
Yeah. Hey, I was just thinking, you're deep in the powwows. My experience here at Trout Lake at the Aboriginal Day.
Okay.
I took my kids out. It was about 3:30 in the afternoon. I was like, "Okay, guys, we're gonna go get a taco here, and then we're gonna go watch some drumming here, and then we're not gonna go home too late, and we'll be home by 10 or 11. Man, that's it." I went there, and the whole thing shut down at 5. I was like, "What the heck? Aboriginal Day and these powwows are shutting down at 5 o'clock, man." I'm hoping, like in the future, though, that maybe we can have a whole day event, man, that runs late, man. Like just like every other city. Oh, it's beautiful, man. Out here, it's really timid and shy. I don't know.
Were you there when that hypnotist was there?
Oh, I missed that one, man.
Oh my God, Scott Ward. What? I will never forget that experience. As I was the master of ceremonies for the whole event, right? And I introduced him, and then I as I was walking off the stage and I walking across the floor, and all of a sudden they said, Ray, just wait. I looked at him, no. No. Then all of a sudden he used the crowd against me. How many people would like to see Ray hypnotized? Everybody yelled. I make them do everything else, and now they're going to make me do something, right? "Scott Ward, I'm going to kill you for this." I said, "Come on." He said, "My mother-in-law just sent me up here." He said, "When she says go, I have to go." My wife and my mother-in-law pushed me up here and said, "Oh, because you said," Anyways, I'm standing there. The next thing I know, I'm standing in the grass with an Elvis wig, with a guitar, the air guitar. When he snapped out of it, he said, "Uh-oh, now what did I do?" He took the wig off of me. I guess I've done something I've never done before. I guess I was really flexible. I was standing on the air, and when they played an Elvis song, I jumped off the stage and I kept playing that guitar like I was really playing it. I went and danced around these old ladies. My mother-in-law was one of them. Oh my God. And somebody had it recorded. I made a total fool of myself. But the people enjoyed it. Yeah, the people really enjoyed me making a fool of myself.
Right on, Ray. Excuse me. That was, wow, I didn't even have to ask any questions, hardly. That's awesome. This guy's the best interview ever. It's good to have you. Thank you for coming out with Indigenous Wellness and Training Society's group session, or sessions for what we got going on there, I guess. I'd like to thank you. But for September 20th, 2021, there we go. Jackson, great job on your setting up and doing the production side there. So,
No problem.
Thanks.
Did you go vote?
Oh, I got to go hit that up. Honestly, yeah. As soon as I pick up my kids, I can go hit them up.
First thing my wife and I got up this morning, she said, let's go vote quickly. The good thing about it, we went there was no lineup.
Really?
Yeah.
That's why I didn't go yet. I was looking at the
Well,
lineup probably
go
tonight.
yeah. Oh, that last time we went at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. It was a good around the block. People lined up.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, but this time it was parked, walked in, voted, out.
Maybe people are getting wise to the mail-in ballots. I don't know. Yeah, cool.
I just put my X.